I know personally, through some of the friends which I have, that it has caused issues of anxiety and depression because there's some people who've actually closed down their Instagram account, for example, and said, oh, I can't do this at the moment, it's too much at once.
Peace and blessings of God be upon you all, and welcome to The Muslim View, the show where we delve a little deeper into those matters in the media that affect us as Muslims. I have with me two esteemed friends of mine, really good mates, Sabahuddin Ahmadi and Farhad Ahmed, who are both Imams of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, and also myself, Mansoor Clark. I'm also an Imam of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. But what are we talking about today?
As you can tell, we're friends and we have a lot of conversations generally in life regarding current affairs. Whenever something's out in the news, we often discuss it together. There's religious issues, obviously, which come up as imams, so we discuss them generally. So we wanted to bring you into our conversations to give you a bit of an insight.
And in the Muslim View, every week we'll be talking about a different topic and a different issue. If you've got any issues or topics which you think we need to address, then put it in the comment section below and we'll try and address them in the following week to come. But the question we are asking today is, does social media ruin your relationships? And the reason why we're asking this question and talking about this topic is because it's the 10th anniversary of Instagram. So, does social media really cause an issue?
The fact is that when we are on social media, we become dead to the world. Sometimes people become so engrossed in their social media or their phones that they become like someone that's addicted to something. Yeah. They become someone that's almost intoxicated by it, that they become dead to the world around them.
So you say that, but coming back to the question, does it affect your relationship? Does it though?
But of course it does. I reckon it does. The thing is, look, if I'm sitting here and you're talking to me, but I can't get my eyes off this screen, they're glued there, my attention's there, how can I have a meaningful relationship? I read this online on social media. I think it might have been a tweet, ironically, right? And the tweet basically said that I say hello to my phone every morning before I say hello to my wife. And it's such a powerful thing because really, as in all of us do it, even those people that say, I'm not addicted to my phone. Literally the first thing you do is I check my emails, my texts, my WhatsApp. I've got like a rota as to which things I have to check to make sure that nothing's come through.
I think it's become such a part of our lives that we forget the damage it can cause to us. And we know, and I know personally, through some of the friends which I have, that it has caused issues of anxiety and depression. Because there's some people who've actually closed down their Instagram account, for example, and said, oh, I can't do this at the moment, it's too much at once.
A social media cleanse kind of thing, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they'll close the account, and for 2 weeks they won't go on Instagram, and then they'll reopen their account.
Farhad, one thing that really stuck out to me was the fact that some of the big people in tech, some of the big leaders that lead this field, they have very different approaches to what we see in our day-to-day lives.
Yeah, exactly. Even like people like Mark Zuckerberg and others, they've been known to make statements which make you doubt, like, if they're not comfortable with their own platforms, how am I expected to be comfortable with their platform? Mark Zuckerberg recently, he was in court and he was being asked about his platform, Facebook, and he was questioned some really interesting question that, are you comfortable in telling me, the person asking him, are you comfortable in telling me where you were or which hotel you spent your last night in? And Mark Zuckerberg said that, no, I'm not comfortable.
Even though that's like the ethos of his whole platform. Yeah. To think that this is like a global head of tech. So obviously, what that says to me is that there's obviously something that they know more than what I know about their own company.
And there we are.
But they're not happy to give their kids that same access to it.
And I think that within schools it's really important. As parents we have responsibility, as individuals we have responsibility, but there should be education based around telling children, educating them about how important it is to use social media carefully so it doesn't become an addiction.
We're doing a study where they found out about people from the age of 16 to 24, they're using 3 hours worth of social media every single day. 3 hours. I mean, that's not the amount of time we spend talking to our parents or or other people. And the thing is, these are companies, they're businesses. So we're giving them 3 hours of our time.
They're there to generate revenue.
Yeah, exactly, and we should be questioning that usage.
The thing is, if someone comes up to you and gives you like a pot of food and you say, oh, are you having it? And he goes, I wouldn't eat that. Why would you take that from him? Why would you start eating that? And these CEOs themselves, they're saying to stop their kids from going on these platforms.
And you make a really interesting point, because His Holiness, the worldwide head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, the community which we belong to, recently said in a speech that people in India or poorer countries out there, 87% of people over there have a mobile phone device. and they use social media.
Yeah.
And they actually, even though they haven't got the amount of food to put on the table, they're prioritizing these devices which they use and carry every single day.
Yeah. You mentioned that when His Holiness mentioned that he really elaborately explained how social media has changed our lives.
Yeah.
I really remember that point when His Holiness said that, in the olden days, they didn't used to be TVs even.
Yeah,
so people would do everything together. They would have really direct communications. Then came the TV. But then at that time, at least you sat together and you watched the TV. Now, when you've got social media, everyone's on their phones. Yeah. You're sitting next to each other on the sofa, but you're still on your own phones.
We soothe our children by giving them the phone to watch programs on, and we're all victim to it. And we use that as a get out clause.
Yeah.
And we are actually, to some extent, I know it's a very strong word, but we're poisoning their mind.
Another really big thing, you've mentioned this before, is about the addiction.
Yes.
And it's built into these devices about how now it's like you go onto Facebook videos, you don't even need to be watching it, it'll just finish and the next one will start, and the next one.
One thing I think is that, a lot of these companies who make social media platforms, they use a lot of psychologists to figure out, because they're competing for our attention. To do that, they're using a lot of psychological methods which are known to work in human nature, but animal nature as well. Like, for instance, there's a technique, train animals called VSR, in which what they do is that they train an animal to be rewarded for a thing that they are trained to do, but they give the rewards at random times. They don't give them a reward every single time. There's not a set time for the reward either.
So they don't know when it's coming.
They don't know when it's coming. And because of that, the animal regularly does that activity because it knows it's going to get rewarded.
There's a possibility of a reward.
Exactly.
Wow.
And that's the same concept for social media, where you just think that the next scroll that you do with your thumb will be better than the previous one.
Do you know, there was a recent poll out by Ofcom who said that half of adults in the UK get their news from social media.
And I mean, the fact that fake news is so common. You don't know what's right and what's wrong.
I think it's come at a really strange time, because in the recent past, some massive events in the world have taken place which have made us even more involved in politics. Like, for instance, when Brexit came about, before that a lot of people weren't involved in their politics, but Brexit was such a divisive thing. Like, yes or no.
Yeah.
There's clear difference between choices. Like, when it's a political party, sometimes you have lots of people to choose from. You have to think about who's your local MP, etc., councillor. But when it came to this choice, it was very, very stark choice.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people got involved into politics, and as you're saying, a huge amount of information is taken from social media, and on social media, you really can't be that. It can't be that reliable.
I do feel that even though we talk negatively about social media, there are definitely benefits out there, and social media has actually, as on a personal level, has educated me a lot about politics, which I wasn't aware of before, and the news. I probably was part of that half of UK adults who get their news from social media.
There is another element of it that people are saying that now, because of social media, media itself is also having to self-reflect of the negative role it played. Not that it's just played a negative role, obviously there is media out there, traditional media, but there are some negative aspects to it which have been highlighted a number of times, and social media being a competition to that media is making them realise that, look, we have to change our ways. Often the media focuses on negativity, and the media what leads leads, and that's the concept that they follow. So now when social media is coming about, a lot of feel-good accounts are coming about, really popular. And I think that's a really big learning curve for media as well, that people don't just want negativity. They do want positivity.
Because there is a genuine need and a desire and a thirst for that. What are some of the practical ways in which we can tackle it? And first of all, to find out if you're addicted or not, and then how do you tackle it?
I think to be constantly on your phone and seeking reassurance and happiness from your mobile phone device, from social media, is a sign that you're addicted. I've personally taken a step to, whenever I go home from work, I'll always leave my phone in my coat pocket and not attend it until before I go to bed. I'll check it once, read the messages and go to sleep. And I've even started charging my phone downstairs in the living room and not taking it upstairs to where we sleep. So that's what I've used personally. It's really worked for me.
So I really liked one thing I saw online, and it was a father, he had 6 or 7 kids. And basically what he does is he gets his little safe, and before dinner, he collects all of his kids' phones, his own and his wife, and he locks them up and puts them to the side. And then only when everyone's finished their food does he unlock it and give them back their phones. A bit extreme, but I guess it enforces the need for us to have time away from our phone. We all know that what you see on the gram and what you see on media, on the social media, isn't the whole story, but we're made to believe it is.
Oh, and also, it creates that competition within society.
Yeah.
Look, that person, I'm not feeling very happy today, so I'll go on my social media. When you go on your social media, you see the best of people's lives.
I think that the term keeping up with the Joneses fits perfectly here.
Absolutely.
Because you're always looking at how you can be like the other person who you aspire or dream to be like.
You mentioned about keeping up with the Joneses. There's a saying of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who's the founder of Islam. He said that you should always keep in mind that when it comes to material wealth, you should always look at those who are below you, who don't have as much as you. And I think and when it comes to doing goodness, you should look at those who are above you.
It's the antithesis of social media.
I think it's about acknowledging that you've got an issue and addressing the problem which you have. Because a lot of us feel like, oh no, it's not a problem, it's not taking over my life. But until we realise that, yeah, I have an issue, and you're going to address it head on, that's the only way you're going to change. That's the only way you're going to make change in your life. And it's about accepting that, yeah, there's room for change.
Absolutely. A brilliant conversation, I guess. It kind of shows that all of us have an addict somewhere inside of us, and it's a need for us to break the habit and actually realize that indeed there are some habits of ours that need to be looked at and need to be addressed. Of course, social media, there's good and there's bad. Indeed, there is the ugly as well, but you probably won't see that on Instagram. The fact of the matter is that this is an important issue. It's affecting people all around the world, and there's a need for us to look a little bit deeper as to the things that are affecting us in our day-to-day life. Please, this wouldn't be the Muslim View if we didn't have your opinion, so please leave us your comments, queries and questions in the comment section below. Even if you're non-Muslim, that doesn't matter at all. This is us as 3 Imams and 3 Muslims giving our opinion, but we want to hear what you have to say regardless of your creed, colour, nationality, background, tax bracket, political affiliation, the list goes on. This has been the Muslim View, and we've been asking the question, does social media ruin your relationships?